thought wasn't how do I control my spending. My thought was how do I make more money so I can keep living the lifestyle but still provide as a dad and still do what I've got to do.
Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.
The beauties.
How's your sister as well, man?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
Where's she living now? She's still on the ends or she?
We'll catch up later.
Oh, yeah?
Because we're running out of time.
Okay, no, come. So, I thought you were waiting for
No, he's in. We're in.
He's eating around, man.
We are in, sir.
Man, let's get it, man. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, man.
You're here.
I'm here.
It's been so long.
As promised.
Do you know what's so weird?
What?
We started off together.
It's crazy. I'm looking at my head on the back of your laptop right now.
Literally. Guys, for those who don't know, this is secret.
Hey, come on,
this
man.
over here.
Come on, man.
So quick history, we started up growing up British together.
We did.
We did. And shout out to you, because if it weren't for you and Fizz, I wouldn't have done it.
Amazing.
And
shout out to you as well, though.
Yeah, I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing.
Initiative. You know.
But it was just nice because like you guys gave me that bit of energy, and like because you're just literally my friends, it was just nice to bring set of people together and just have a good conversation.
Big up Fizz as well, man.
Yeah, man.
That's in a minute.
So for those who don't know who you are, sir, may you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I am CK, as you said, Clarence K, or CK Talks Money.
Yes.
I am a lovely young man. Child of God. Nah, I'm playing that.
Yes,
I work in a financial space. I'm a financial professional, been in it for about 11, 12 years now. A lot of work done in the sort of property, mortgage sort of area, banking. But I also have my own amazing podcast as well, similar to my mentor over here, you know. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's
a little bit about me.
I remember sitting with you over shisha and asking you for advice about my house.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Everybody used to be like, "See, I don't know what to do."
With the notebook out.
Literally, it was
Taking
some
hella
real
notes,
talk,
like, yeah.
knowledge. The thing is, it's mad because when you're not in the finance industry, there's a lot of words that are just overwhelming, a lot of jargon, a lot of things that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
So I'd ask you questions and I'm like, I'm so sorry if it's an obvious question, but for someone like you, it's just like, it's like you got the whole thing in your head.
And you're not the first, because I say the same thing to my bros. I'm just like, you guys shouldn't be kind of scared to feel like you're asking a stupid question. It's not a stupid question, because I only know this because of what I've been exposed to. Precisely, so for somebody who hasn't been exposed to that, they have no reason to know these things. So yeah, like, you know, people should never shy away from that. 100%. You know, for real.
It appeared on my highlights 2 days ago, and it appeared on your highlights, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
When you did the live.
Yes.
With Mr. Money Jar.
Mr. Money Jar.
And it was like growing up British. I remember you going, like, the intro was like, basically the podcast is about. And it was just cool because, like, that's when you, I think, really took to the elements of you doing more about money. And I remember every time we spoke about, like, any topics on growing up British, you were literally our financial expert.
Yeah.
So I remember I was like, so when you move on to do your own thing, can you please just come back as our financial expert?
I'm here, man.
I appreciate
Part of the furniture.
So I start every episode with your favourite quote. Mm-hmm. You didn't give me a quote, so you better come up with one.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I don't want to say I'm not a fan of quotes, but what I will say is that I find quotes very generic at times. I feel as if quotes are either relatable or not relatable, depending on the chapter of your life that you're in. So I kind of hold on to the word of God more so, I would say, you know, and the one that sticks out to me, and there's a reason why it sticks to me. I don't know if you have time for that story or not.
No, but I want to know why.
Oh, you want to know? Say no more.
And tell me why.
So it's Matthew 6:33, and what that says is, seek first the kingdom of God and all this righteousness, and all things will be given unto you.
Nice.
So the reason that's very important to me is, let's say, late 2018, early 2019, I was going through quite a rough patch in life, very, very, very rough patch, and there were some people that are very close to me that were praying for me and, you know, encouraging me, and it was really weird. I think only like 2 or 3 people know this story. So I went to church on a Wednesday. One of my brothers, Jonathan, big up Jonathan Mensah, prayed for me, and when he prayed for me, he said to me, bro, I don't know why, but God's given me this word for you. And it was Matthew 6:33. And I was like, thank you, bro. I appreciate you. cool. Left church, got in the car, was driving, went to go and link the man them. And then I got a call while I was there. And the person that called me said, like, I don't know why, I just want to pray with you because I just feel as if you need encouragement. When they prayed for me, Matthew 6:33 gave me that same scripture. Then the next day when I woke up, for those that have the Bible app, you'll know that every morning it gives like a scripture of the day. The scripture was Matthew 6:33. So ever since then,
that was God talking
I kind of hold on to that. And if I look at what it says, it's basically homing into the way I want to live my life. So it's like, seek first God, showing the importance of that being the foundation and the priority. Then as a result of that, all other things will be good for you.
And there's a lot of things that we should be doing as believers for the sake of God. So everything that we do, whether it is your podcast, whatever it is, you know, everything's part of worship. So for 100%. Me, like, working is worship, going to the gym is like respecting my body, which God has given me. So it's all part of worship. And I think people take a lot of things for granted, even like how you hold your family and your friends. Of course, that's all in a godly way if done with intention.
Of course, definitely.
So I have, like, my quotes tend to also be like religious ones.
Oh, nice.
However, today isn't.
No judgment.
I got it from you know the Kanye West Diaries, like the one that just uploads memes. It says, "Be proud of the days you didn't think you'll get through." And I think that's kind of deep. I think it kind of goes back to like fact that maybe in 2018, 2019, if that was one of your lowest points, to know that you were able to get through it is such a big deal, because some of us can't see past that feeling and past that situation and think there's no way like life is ever going to be normal again.
And it's hard to. It's hard to, because I can't lie, like, when I think about the times that have been rough for me, it's annoying because you have the rough times and then you're kind of sulking or complaining or you're upset, and then when things are better, I feel silly because I'm just like, why was I worrying in the first place? Like, and this is what I always say about faith. Like, if you truly believe, truly believe,
sincerely,
there's no reason to be worrying. You know what I mean? It's like, if you know that, right, God has done this before, he's going to do it again, then you need to just take every day at a time. Because the issue with fear and worry is that it will block you from even peace or happiness that you could be having. 100%. So you're like robbing yourself of that feeling, all because you're waiting to get to a certain goal.
100%.
So
it cripples you. And I think
for real,
there's this thing like in Islam, it's called tawakkul Allah, which is mean you have to just put your trust in God.
For real.
And it doesn't mean sit there and dwell and pray that God's going to get you out of it, but just keep going and trust that eventually that window will open. Exactly. And also you have to go through that in order for you to look back and laugh and be like, raw, like, I allowed that moment in life to really faze me.
This is it.
But we were also inexperienced in life. So you're now in a position where you've experienced a lot more growth, where you can look back. It's almost like, do you know how much we used to freak out over GCSEs and A-levels?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, my God, it's
stressing.
Now I'm just like, when I hear I'm like, I beg you, relax.
What's that,
it's
man?
not that deep.
I got bigger fish to fry.
But not just that. It's just like, if only you knew, you can actually progress in different careers. I'm not saying that everyone should flunk their GCSEs.
No, of course not.
But like, when you put so much strain and stress on your mental well-being, it's just because we think this is it. This is it. And then God gives you a new thing. Okay, this is it. This is it. Like, nope, there's more. And
I think that comes with growth, because like, I feel as if we're always in life, we're always chasing something, innit?
100%.
Let's be real. We're always going after, whether it's a business or income, we're always going after something. And I remember saying to my guy one time that he was like, "Oh, bro, I really want to buy a house, man. I need to buy a yard. It's stressing me out." And I asked him, I was like, "Bro, like, why do you want to buy a house?" He was just like, "You know what? Yeah, I don't know. I've just always wanted to."
Okay.
And I'm just like, I'm here for that, but that shouldn't be the reason for you to be stressed.
Understand the
you
perks
know what I mean?
of why a house will be purposeful for you.
Exactly.
Because it's not for everyone either.
This is it. And and when I look at him living at home with the family, under no pressure to leave the yacht. So I'm just like, bro, relax. Work towards it, but don't let that goal be the reason for you being so upset and down, you know?
Because we don't get to appreciate the moment. We're too busy stressing.
And this is it. And
100%.
it's like you eavesdropped to one of my convos, because I said this to my friend last week. And I said to them that I was talking about that. Do you ever watch The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Cool. And what one of the coaches said about Michael is that he always lived in the moment. He never thought about tomorrow. yesterday.
But I think that's
whenever.
that's a beautiful thing to master, because a lot of us struggle, because like even if you sincerely believe in God and you have your trust in God and faith in God, we still have our shortcomings,
Of course,
and therefore we do sometimes have anxiety, have stress, and
yeah,
you know, depending on your environment, it can add to that. So if you have a worry of a
100%.
parent, or you know, people that are putting pressure on you, you can't help but then start feeling that stress.
Exactly.
But it's just trying to find a balance.
Exactly.
CK, we're here.
We
I'm
are.
excited.
We're active. Come on.
All right, so growing up British, as you know, we always start from a journey of childhood going upwards. So growing up, I wanted to know, what was your setup at home when it came to like parents and providing?
Parents and providing. I always like to say that I'm quite fortunate to have parents that always made sure me and my sisters were good. You know, like I know everyone has their experience, their challenges. I can't think of a point in my life where I felt like I was deprived of anything, or where I felt a sense of struggle.
Amazing.
Now, that's mad for me now, because speaking to my parents in my adult years now and hearing what they were going through at the time, I'm like, how are you lot doing that? Like,
They're superheroes, man.
We like miss a phone bill payment and we start ripping our hair out here. Like, but these lot were really, once again, coming from back home, coming here with nothing, and still being able to sustain a household, look after their kids. So upbringing, like, I give anyone that ever talks to me about this, I give so much props to my parents.
Amazing.
Like, I big them up.
Were they
like,
both working?
They were both working, yeah.
Yes.
So like, I rate them so highly. I don't think they even know how much I rate them, but they've just done amazing.
Based on what you just said, it sounds as if mum and dad at some point maybe may have struggled, but they did a very good job of covering it up in front of the children. Yeah. Which I think that within itself is a talent, because
it is,
sometimes even the energy just speaks like.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, big up them for real. Like, they did their thing.
In an ideal world, did dad want mum to not work, or were they happy with this like relationship they have?
I don't know, because I know that my dad, being the kind of person he is anyway, if he could have something that is just bringing in enough that everyone else could be at peace, he would do that. You know, he's the kind of person that would rather him be the one that has to work hard and stress, and everyone else is just happy. You know, and I feel as if I've taken that from him, because I know that in the future, when I get married, not if, when I get married, I would want to be able to do the same for my wife and my kids. I don't want my wife to have to work. Like, if she wants to work, cool. But I don't want it to be a thing of, I've got to go to work because of this, or she hates her job so much, but she has to go.
Show face.
I don't want that, because I'm a big believer in that the woman is the one that kind of makes the house a home, nurtures the household. When one has children, bring the children up, you know, makes the house, gives the house the finishing quality touches, as the way I'll put it.
And she creates that peaceful environment for you
exactly.
after coming home
when
from
I
work.
Exactly. So if I have a choice, I would like definitely have.
So you sound like a traditional man.
I'm a Nigerian boy. Don't be deceived.
But that's amazing, because a lot of people are having to shift that thought process and be like, well, actually, no, I don't know, because certain women are moving a certain way, certain men are moving a certain way, and therefore the traditional concept is being watered down.
Get flushed, yeah.
And I feel like I'm now in a position where I've taken a sabbatical out for a year. Nice. For those who didn't quite get it, first and 10th time I mentioned it. But she's
enjoying it. That's why I should say that
again. But I'm able to be a wife and a mother.
Yes.
I'm able to be present at home. I'm able to raise my son. I'm able to be very involved with my husband and like creating that peace for him and make sure everything's good, because he's going out and providing and doing what he needs to do. And when he comes back home, he's faced with a welcome home and everything's good. Yeah. And I think people undermine the importance of having a present parent. And I feel like it's a privileged position to be in, because a lot of women would love to be present parents, but society's going, well, life is life, and we all got to work.
That's true.
And I think a lot of men carry that guilt as well of knowing that they can't be the main breadwinner. But it is what it is. As a child, what did money mean to you?
Money.
Not teenager, just a child. Think about like primary school.
Primary school.
Yeah.
I didn't think about money when I was a kid, man. Like, I know, like, especially on my podcast, I speak to a lot of people and I'll be like, oh yeah, from young I was hustling. Listen, I didn't think about money as a kid.
Yeah.
I started thinking about money when me and my boy Leon in like year 10 were going to Tesco in Norfolk, buying boxes of Capri Sun and Kit Kat and selling them in school.
Why do I hear this story by every guy?
Because it was such an easy it's a simple business model. You buy your stock in the morning, just make sure you don't come back with any stock. Only come back to the ends of money.
Wholesale prices.
You know? So if you're asking me about primary school years,
nah.
I didn't.
So you didn't think about getting pocket money, how you can save it to get more sweets, or about like toys that you wanted to buy?
The thing is, the way my dad is, and my dad always used to say to us that obviously my dad didn't grow up rich at all. Like, he grew up in quite, like, there was like
humbling start,
humble beginnings, let's call it that, you know, back home. And he always used to say to me that because growing up there's things that he couldn't have, that he wanted but he couldn't have, so he always kind of made sure that me and my sisters were good. So like, I never felt the need to steal. I never felt the need to go into this hustle mindset. Oh, I need peas. The only time that I said I really thought about buying stuff was when I found my trainer obsession. Yeah. Like, that was like year 7 or year 8.
It's an expensive thing to provide.
It's a very expensive addiction. I can't lie.
Trust me.
Very expensive addiction. And I remember he decided that he was going to be giving me and my sister, I think it was like £50 a month or something. So
sweet.
Them days there, my mum will take me and my sister to Foot Locker in Uxbridge before they turned it into some random shop that it is now, and would buy trainers. And I remember, like, I know everyone's rocking Dunks now, but if you really know, Dunks are old school. Like, the first night crepes I ever bought with my pocket money was some Dunks. Sick. And I remember the colorway was so when I think it was so dead. It was like, so I had like some shiny silver thing on it. It was just so dead. But yeah, like, I just copped it. I just felt like, bro, you know what? Like, I bought this with my money.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's that feeling, like,
100%.
Actually, I've been having trainers, but I just felt like this is my sort of thing.
That's it.
You know, whether we admit it or not, growing up as young people, we kind of have small pressures in our environments. You know, you see other people wearing things, you don't want to be left out, so you go and buy it as well. So that's the only time I'll say I really started thinking about money and buying stuff. And
in regards to the kick addiction, I started working for Foot Locker as my first, JD Sports and Foot Locker.
They trapped you.
I was like, do you know what? Now I said I have to find a way to get a discount. Back then I had no connects, so I was just like, let me get my first job in like a place shop that would be appealing to me, so I could get my kick. Like, I remember I used to have like walls of just trainers. Listen. And my parents couldn't fund that for nothing, so literally. I just thought, for me, this is the only way I'm going to get what I want.
Even today, before I came, you guys know what happened when I arrived here today. But when I called my sister to help me find my key, she's lifted up my bed storage and like, why do you have so many boxes here? Like, and all those boxes have crepes in them, and those are the ones I don't wear. Then you have the other pile, you know. Man, expensive addiction still.
Do you remember a moment like when you were a kid where you heard mum and dad talk about finance?
Once again, you're saying kid as in like,
I mean,
at any point.
Your first recollection. Damn, girl.
Drink some water.
Relax.
I'm guessing. Her talk about money. I would have been very grown before I heard them talk. I can't lie to you. I would have been like already going out with a man them and driving a car.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents, they're not them people.
So then, would you say then that your parents didn't set any presidencies of like financial literacy for you?
Okay, cool. So if we're talking about financial education and literacy, then that's different, because they've always been serious about saving. Like, sweet. My dad is so risk averse. Like, anyone listening, if you think you know someone that's risk averse, no one's more risk averse than my pops. He's a saver. Like, so they were always hammering me like, Tosin, that's my Yoruba name. Tosin, make sure I save me your money. I'm just like, it's class, whatever. It's only when I had one hiccup when I was like 21, I realised I see what this guy's been talking about.
Yeah.
Because I had to pay for something and all my peas
Did it
had
hurt?
gone to Nando's,
Yeah.
Foot Locker, rubbish. And I had nothing to fall back on. That's when I said, yeah, okay, this guy, he's onto something here. And it's crazy for me because for someone that worked in the financial environment, it's crazy how you can actually work in finance but still not have good financial literacy or education. Because when you're doing a job where everything is just processed, you go into work, you do the same thing over and over again, that's different to having inbuilt principles that you can use to steward your money in the best way. So they definitely taught me about saving. I'll throw budgeting in there as well. Because it was like, yeah, you have this, but don't use all your money in this. And they taught me and my sister the same thing.
Yeah.
But as anyone with siblings will know, that being raised in the same house as someone doesn't mean you come out the same.
That's very true.
My sister's the complete opposite to me. My sister's a saver. My sister is very frugal. Like
Did she do it from much younger than you as well?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Like if me and my sister, and it's even with little things, like if me and my sister got given £10, let's say, guaranteed mine's gone before hers. There's no way. Also, she was better at nurturing things. So she could have the same phone or something for time. Whereas I'll have a phone and then I might come home one day, I left my phone on the bus, or something happened, like something silly. So she's very like, I think she took those lessons on a lot better than I did.
So I think your pop sounds like, I think probably most first generation men who they've learnt not the hard way, but they've seen what it means to not have money.
Of course.
And as a result, they're extra careful.
Safe,
Like some people become hoarders, even like some, especially women, some wives, they become hoarders. Like my mum became a hoarder because at some point my parents had a lot and ended up with nothing and had to start again. So I quickly saw the value of money, which is when I saw my parents lose everything, we were still happy within. Like for us, it was just so. But what I saw happen as a result of loss is that my dad worked extra hard. My mum became a bit of a hoarder psychologically. I don't think she registered what she was doing, but she was always making sure she had extras just in case. Even like when a kettle broke, like we'll keep the kettle, but we'll get a new one, but just in case this one falls. And it's all down to the mindset of like fear of becoming like poor or the fear of having loss. What did you do? Wait, firstly, how old were you when you first got your first job?
First job? How old are you in your second year of sixth form?
You're like 16, 17?
16?
Yeah?
16.
So you got your first part-time job.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I was working in TK Maxx, boy.
Do you know what's mad?
That shop always has a special place in my heart. That shop, yeah, listen. Anyone that saw me rocking them Ralph Lauren shirts, they were plugging me. When the stock would come in, I say to one brother I used to work, I say, bro, like, yeah, put that one on the side so he'll leave it on the side after work.
Sick.
I'll purchase that at discounted price.
Discount.
I'll take it home. I had loads of them, boy.
That's it. Yeah. That's mad. So what did you do with your first paycheck?
First pay. Those were also my football days. And I wasn't driving. So I used to catch that bus journey, yeah. God bless my hustle, I've tried. I used to catch a bus 90 from anyone from Hayes knows Kingsville Avenue to Hayes Town, then catch this other bus to Hatton Cross.
Was it like an E or a C?
One of those ones, yeah. Like catch a bus to Hatton Cross, which is like on your way to Heathrow Airport.
Jeez.
Then catch a bus from Hatton Cross Station to Staines. That's where I was working.
You're committed.
So I was jogging still, like, and there were days where could call my mum and like, mum, can you come and get me from work, please? But a lot of days, cold days in the rain, like, you're not gonna feel sorry for me, I was on the way home, like, why am I having to do this? But I knew I wanted to make money. And I knew the money was going towards little things. Like if I wanted to buy new football boots, I could do that. If I wanted to buy, like Nando's was the thing back then. Like 100%. No one should pretend like we weren't going Mayfair. Like so, everyone that's talking about these high-end restaurants needs to relax. We were going Nando's. Nando's was the thing. Like so, I could pay for Nando's. I could get me if you want to go out with a girl. You could, you know what I mean. You could do stuff. You
had the extra money.
So that was my first job. Then I worked in a gym. And that was very different. I felt like I was literally working for free gym membership.
That's literally it.
Literally. But obviously the gains were gaining. It was amazing, but it was like, that was my second job, and then that's how then I went into banking.
But it's interesting because you mentioned how, like, when you were 21 and you lost, like, you needed to spend money on something, you realise, oh, snap, I just spent it all on food and kicks. And I remember my mum for so long telling me to save, Hebz save. You have to, and no matter what they tell you, it's very rare. Like you said, one sibling took it on, literally.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I was a person who was like, what can I do every time I get paid? How can I spend my money so quickly on stupidness because I can? And I was telling my husband, I was like, with my first paycheck, I think I was in JD Sports, I was working in Whiteley's when Whiteley's existed. And I said, oh my God, I can buy like 2 KFC meals.
Quickly.
like my maths was food and kicks.
That's it.
Food and
That's
kicks.
all we knew. It was just food and clothes. Like, we have nothing else to pay for.
And then, but the thing is, what you forget is that people don't tell you about is actually, wait, at some point you need to go to uni. When you go to uni, how are you going to buy a crib? Like for me, I was like, okay, so you finish education, work, get married, buy a yard. But we forget about the cost of things. These things was like an unspoken thing for me personally.
We don't deep it.
So when it came to me getting married initially, they were like, oh, so we need a deposit. And I'm like, oh. And I was thinking, if I had saved even like half of my wage, just half, living at home, rent-free.
It's true.
But I was an idiot who just literally spent every bit of dough on anything. I can go to the movie twice. I can go to Nando's like 4 times in a week. Because I can.
That was normal though.
Because I can.
Yeah, and Nando's wasn't, but to be fair, Nando's wasn't priced back then the way it was now.
No.
Because I remember being able to go Nando's, £10-15 max.
Yeah.
Took my son to Nando's the other day. I was gobsmacked. I was like, yo, are you lot adding like service charge and VAT to this? Like, what's going on? So things have changed, man.
No, but I just remembered how like the reality is when we hit a certain age. How we actually not a bit of regret, but just going, I wish I listened. And I feel like it's just a natural life lesson where it's like you either get it or you don't.
It is. That's facts.
What's going?
No, sorry, carry on.
Oh no, I was gonna say, what was did you look up to anyone in particular when it came to finances once you started paying attention to finances?
When I really started paying attention, I definitely started looking at my dad like, like, you lot have survived coming here with nothing. You survived the recession. And the recession we had, I know we're talking about, cost of living right now, but you need to remember at those times people were losing their houses at a crazy rate.
Yeah.
People's mortgages were higher than the values of their properties. And somehow he maneuvered through all of that. Of course, you give thanks to God for provision, 100%. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of it had to do with that risk-averse planning that I talk about that he has. Because it's like, even though he didn't know it was coming, he was prepared for it. And I feel as if that's where sometimes in life we get it wrong, where we're planning. We might plan for, I'm good, like, I have nothing to pay for, so I can just use this money. But you actually don't know. That's why it's called a rainy day. Because you don't know when it's actually coming. So it's just to be prepared. So he's definitely someone who I definitely looked up to. When I started taking finances seriously, I was just like, this guy.
Does he know you looked up to him?
Yeah, I don't think he does, I think maybe I should tell him.
I think you should.
Maybe I should tell him,
I think that'll mean a lot to him. As a father, you want to feel like you've been really purposeful
maybe
throughout.
I should tell him,
100%.
I think I'll go home and do that today if I get my car back.
When you get your car, I'm so sorry. That you have to go through that. I feel like it's partly my fault. I'm not going to lie.
Come on, man. It was meant to happen.
That's it. God's plan, right?
This is it.
You can't argue that.
I have to hold on to everything. No, it's true, because people like to hold on to God's plan for the good stuff.
When it's the good stuff.
When something bad happens, like, my village people are after me. Like, nah, bro. Like, it was meant to happen. Like,
so you are who you are today. Looking back, what was your attitude towards money? So you mentioned it kind of briefly, but if you were to summarize your attitude and your relationship with money, like growing into a teenager and maybe early adult life, do you feel like there's been a massive shift? And if so, how was it before? And what would you say it is today?
I think the biggest thing that became an issue was spending habits. And I'll divulge into that because I feel as if, I gave you a bit of journey. TK Maxx, gym, and started working in a bank. And I remember my second year in banking, so I would have been my second year of uni as well. And I remember like the group of guys that, and I only realized a lot of this recently. So this is actually quite interesting to talk about. But the guys that I was chilling with at work, great guys. Like even till today, like those are my like proper guys, and they were older than me. Now, when I say older, if you put it like this, I'm second year uni, so I'm probably 20 years old. These lot are maybe 24, 25. So they're still young.
Yeah.
But they've gone to uni, they've got their degrees, they've done all of that already. They might have even done a master's and they're done. Now they're in their adult life career. Now, where we're talking about going out and stuff, I saw the way they were spending money.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, I'm not really taking it in, but I'm just like, oh, is that what this costs? Okay, cool. And I'm paying for stuff. So when I'm around my other group of friends and they're like, rah, CK must have money. He's always spending. I'm just thinking, nah, like this is what it's supposed to be. Because this is what I'm learning from another group.
Someone setting up another set of group has set
setting a bar. And the age difference is showing in this case, because I remember even something little like going with my brethren to, I don't know if it's still there, but there was a Tinseltown in Farringdon.
It's still there.
It's still there. Oh, still okay, there. All right, cool, fair enough. Yeah, fair play. So Tinseltown in Farringdon, and I think maybe I got like this white chocolate milkshake they do there. My brethren got something else. My other brethren got something else. I looked at the bill, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I got you, lot, man. It's calm. I paid for it." And my guy was like, "Bro, like yeah, right, like, you must be." And I'm thinking,
now you're
like,
setting the bar to them.
You understand what I'm saying? So then, and one thing I've deeped because of those experiences is when I hear people talking about money, it makes me feel weird. I don't like it when people are like, "Oh yeah, I spent this on this," and "Oh yeah, I'm just not a fan of it," because I'm used to being around people that spend freely.
Humbly.
You know what I mean? And they're not trying to do it from those guys I'm talking about. They weren't doing it from a boastful standpoint. It was just what it is.
It's their lifestyle, literally, at the time.
Like I remember the first time I went to like a club and got a table. It was Shaka Zulu Camden. Oh my gosh, I heard they're closing down as well. But like went to Shaka Zulu, got bowls on the table. My boy was like, "This is everyone's share. This is that." Bear in mind, we all work in banking, so we're doing all right. And remember, if I'm on the same pay as them, remember I'm 19, 20 years old.
You're already doing better.
So they're like looking at me like we're equal. You know, even though I'm younger, they know I'm younger, but we're the same. So we're all splitting stuff. And then it made me realize that I get this uncomfortable feeling when I'm around people, and let's say a bill comes and the bill is X amount. Someone says, "Oh, let's just split it." I'll be the first one to be like, "Yeah, cool, let's split it." But you get the people that will say, "No, but I only paid for this." And I was like, "Cool, that's what you got." But it just made me realize that mindset was kind of taught to me without me realizing it. I became very free with spending to the point that when I hit a chapter of, wow, okay, you're going to be a dad now, it was like, cool. My thought wasn't, how do I control my spending? My thought was, how do I make more money so I can keep living the lifestyle, but still provide as a dad and still do what I've got to do? You know,
and did that motivate you? Because my next question was about fatherhood.
Oh, it motivated me a lot. It motivated me a lot. Like, it made me strive for higher things. It made me go for job roles that I never thought I would get. It made me work harder. I remember when I was a mortgage advisor, sometimes 10, 11 p.m., I'd be on my laptop doing my cases, like, no cap. Like, I was literally jogging. Like,
there's no rest.
You know,
opportunities to compromise.
So it kind of made me feel like, yeah, cool. So some people will hear this and say, you know what, that's really good. Like, he started working harder, but in the same breath, that was the wrong approach to take. Because if you're if you're recognizing that you're gonna have another responsibility in your life, the answer shouldn't be, let me go find money. The answer should be, how do I manage what I have so I can fairly and equally and correctly distribute the funds that I have to the things that need it.
I think it's also like adjustment to fatherhood until you really get it. Like, it's then you're like, okay, cool. I think I mean, how old were you when you became a
I was
father?
19. I was 19. Yeah.
So would you say that you were mature enough and literal, like financially literal enough,
Fi-
educate? Wow, I am not literal at all today.
Hey, pass that dictionary over there. Let me just like.
Love it.
Okay.
Okay, let's start the question again. When you found out you're a father at 19,
Yeah.
do you feel like you're in a position to become a father when you think about the maturity and where you are financially?
Yeah, I feel as if mature. If you're gonna talk about normal like characteristics of a mature person, I would say that I snapped very quickly.
Okay.
And people around me told me at the time, like, you literally changed, like, boom.
So you fell into father mode
Immediately.
Where does that stem from? Like, why is it that happened for you? Because not a lot of men
you know
fall
what?
into that.
I was blessed, and I'm blessed today to have grown up with my two parents, in a two-parent household. And for me, it just felt like, well, it's a child in a way. I have to be there. It wasn't, do I need, it was, no, I have to be there. For me, it wasn't even a question thing.
It's just about any means necessary.
Yeah, like, that's just what I'm meant to do. It's what I watched my dad do for the last 18, 19 years. So that's what I should be doing as well.
I think that goes to show the importance of having an active father, because some people have fathers in their lives or mothers in their lives, but they're not literally a reflection of what the parents should be.
And this is it. Because the thing is that, like, it's not as if like anybody can have a child young.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can happen to anybody. But how present you decide to be is actually fully up to you. I have been there. And I'm so glad that I can even say that with my chest without even feeling like, oh, what if someone listen?
Sound like a fraud or like,
from the second my son came out, I was there.
Beautiful.
There. School assembly, I'm there. This is you know what I mean?
That's amazing.
You know, so it's like, for me, I wouldn't have it any other way. And that's why sometimes when I hear stories about, obviously everyone's got their own side of their story, you know what I mean? But when I hear stories about fathers not being there, I'm just like, I'm not even there saying, bro, what you doing? I'm there thinking, brother, you're gonna regret that, man.
You're gonna regret it because your child's gonna yearn for you, and they're gonna, and the absence gonna become so apparent, and you can't undo that.
Yeah, and it's those golden experiences that you that you miss out on because of whatever.
It's part of your growth as well.
Yeah,
as a man,
100%. Yeah,
like that's part of your evolution into your next chapter in life, anyway. So for you to miss on those crucial moments, you're almost like depriving yourself on that energy
of your own growth. And you learn a lot. And end of the day, it's like, once you've missed that, you can't have that back, unfortunately. You might be able to redeem yourself and maybe try and be there more, but those golden years of, like, even now when I flip through my phone and I look at pictures of my son, I'm just like, damn. Like, he's grown. When I look at him now, and like the other day we're building a basketball hoop in the garden, I'm just like, damn, like, this brother's actually screwing this thing in hard. And I'm thinking, I remember when you couldn't even hold a cup. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. And these are the things that, you know, kind of do help one mature, because it makes you appreciate life that much more. It makes you, my son's taught me two things, I always say this. It's taught me about patience, which I think any child would teach you about. And and he's taught me about love. And the reason I say that is because kids, actually love unconditionally.
That's it.
And I don't know any other word to use to describe that. That's literally all it is. Because when I look at how children are, when they cry, then they're just happy. Then whatever they were crying about, ask them what they were crying about 2 hours later. They don't know. And when I'm sorry to go a bit Bible on you lot now, but when I look at the word of God, it's like, that's how God calls for us to love unconditionally. I think they call it like an agape love or something like that. They call it, it's like, you're supposed to love unconditionally. 100%. So that's taught me a lot about life, because there's a lot of people, and I said this to my boy recently, there's a lot of people that if I really want to treat them how they treat me, it will be a long day.
But that's it. But that's true.
I mean?
I think some people say they love, or they can love unconditionally, but they don't know what that really means
until they're,
because they're like, I'll love you regardless. But then when you're put in that situation, it's like, ooh, I don't know
if I could do that. You know.
But you're right, because I know, like, there's times where I've been like a bit harsh on my son. and I could see like his sadness, and I think he must really hate me right now. And then when I'm like, baby, I'm sorry, he's like, it's okay, mummy. And then he'll just literally go into my arms and just like embrace me, and I'm just like, the innocence of a child.
It's crazy.
It just humbles you.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
And I think people who have chosen to sort of block out their children, or chosen to not be as present and just stay busy and occupied, like especially when men who think it's my duty to provide. So I love the traditional thought, but when they forget the elements of being present as a man, it's just like you're missing out on these things that your child actually yearns for. Just a small thing. It's all good you financially providing, but do you sit down and talk about finance, or do you sit down and talk to them about love and respect, and show that in the household? So I think kudos to your parents for making it such a natural progression and chapter for you to just fall into fatherhood so effortlessly. So.
I can't lie, this session feels like a bit of therapy, you know.
Dude, how many times you say that to me?
I swear down, because it's weird, because I'm talking to you and I'm just deep in how much I really do appreciate my upbringing.
But I think it's amazing that you've actually taken time out to find those connections as well. Because we take a lot of things for granted. Some people are actually quite boastful and they're like, well, I taught myself this and da-da-da. But when you stop and really deep, where did you find your foundations from? Whether it be the church or whether it be your parents, or both vibrating through your household. That's an incredible thing.
That's true.
Something that you touched on earlier when you said people speak about money, you don't find that attractive. And I think I find that also very uncomfortable, because I feel like anyone who has to talk about money, usually it's because they're trying to make a statement or they're trying to level up to someone. And it's just like you said, if you're very comfortable financially, you can be rocking the most expensive thing, but it'd be so low key. I don't even know, like you're sitting on like £500 or £5,000 or whatever, because you're just calm. You just enjoy buying things.
It's true.
But if I have to hear you talk about money like 3 times in one conversation,
it's long.
I don't find it. Some girls are like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited." I'm like, "Nah, I'm drying down here." Like,
I feel like what's important is that there's a balance with this, because one thing that I'm very, very serious on is talking about money, not making it like a taboo topic. It shouldn't be something where people are scared to talk about it, but it also shouldn't be something where you talking about money is your way of trying to make yourself look better than person A.
Or you think you're gaining respect from
or
it, you're gonna claim new friends out of it. It's just like you're also asking for the wrong audience to come your way. You're getting people who, and then when you think, right, you're being used, it's like, well, you're trying to sell yourself from a financial point of view, given them. Strictly.
Yeah, for real.
So when I hear that, people think, some men unfortunately think they're gassing the women, and I think, you're attracting the wrong energy. So when you go, oh, I'm done with women, they're all using me for money. Well, baby boy, all you ever spoke about was how many Rolexes you owned. And like the other day I went and like, babe, what else do you bring to the table, boo?
For real.
Would you say it's kind of peak out there for men when it comes to dating?
Peak for men?
When it comes to like the financial pressures of being... Okay, look at this guy.
I'm gonna say last time I checked, City boys were up, man.
I mean,
so.
That too. But I think that with that comes a price tag, and I think it comes
100%.
Because I feel like it's all good. You've invested in a woman for the sake of long-term investment, but I feel like I remember we've had conversations about this in our younger years, and it's like some men will invest just to hit, and I'm just like, that's such a waste. To me, it's a wasted investment. But then.
When you say invest, do you mean financially?
Yeah, okay, as in we'll wine and dine her maybe above our paycheck. Just to like finesse the situation. I'm like, but what if that was such weak experiences? Like you've just invested in this, and then she ends up being not what you wanted.
This life is tough, and I say this because the thing about investment, for example, investing £1,000 in an amazing date with a girl, for me, isn't the same as for a next man. For example, let's say person A and person B. Person A works, earns an honest living, is trying to level up in his career. He goes out on a date and he spends that £1,000, He's spending his hard-earned money. He doesn't do that often, but he's doing it because he really cares about that girl.
But so you think it really cared about it. But anyway, continue. There's certain keywords.
I'm going somewhere with this. And person B, let's say he's Trapper of the Year. £1,000 is nothing to him.
Lightweight.
He does exactly what person A does. Now, I'm sure we would both argue that person A is invested from more of a sort of natural and genuine place, because he actually cares about the girl. But this is one thing I'm always saying to people, and I don't know if I landed that one well, but it's like someone taking you out and spending money on you does not mean anything. It doesn't mean anything in terms of how much they care about you.
No.
So that's why when I see posts and, you know, people are writing stuff like, you know, he's a brokey if he doesn't do this. And I'm just like, what are you not talking about?
That's what I mean. So I feel like that. Do you feel like it's worse for men now because to an extent, men are having to protect their energy because they're like they've gone from overly stressing finances, like, oh yeah, I can take a girl and do this and do that, to like, wait, I'm being done dirty by these women, and now these women are expecting this, and now they're making wild statements. It's like, did men set the bar up for themselves for failure? You know,
it is, I feel as if certain men have let other men down. And I remember I said something to my boy one time. We were at one club or party or whatever, and I don't even mind telling this story. I'm gonna tell it. So me and Kenny are here on the right, and there's one uncle that walks in, and he's by himself. He's on his own, and the place is lit. It's rocking. Like yeah, it's nice. There's girls everywhere. Like it is. It's a beautiful scene in here. Like imagine that we're in Lagos Beach right now. Lovely women out here. This uncle, we watch him. He goes to the group of girls. He whispers. I don't know what he says.
Sweet nothing.
He says something. Then one of the girls goes with him to the table he was at. Within about 10 minutes, the uncle's there on the table, and every girl that was there is now on his table. Now, he is spending money because when we see the bottles flying to his table from the bar, like, we're just like, yo, he is spending. And where I'm going with that is, when you say in terms of the bar set for guys, because these girls have experienced a certain lifestyle, so there's a girl on that table now that every time she goes out, if a guy isn't doing what Uncle was doing, it's long. Now he's broke. Now he's this. Now he's that. And I feel as if what we need to kind of stop doing is putting labels on these things. Okay. Because it's like, there's no right or wrong way to spend in relationships or in dating. My biggest thing is spend within your means.
That's it.
It's literally as simple as that. If you can afford to go to X, Y, Z place, then go there. If that's fine.
Your lifestyle, and it's not going to hinder your pocket, run with it.
Then go with it.
Yeah.
This is one issue that I find sometimes, is that someone will say, I'm going on a first date with her. Should I take her to Hakkasan or not? I'm just like, bro.
But can you sustain Hakkasan?
I'm like, bro, you've never been there in your life, bro. Why are you taking her there, bro? You're both going to be beginners. Like, you're going to be looking at the menu like, bro, what do they even have here? Like, you don't even know what it looks like inside, bro. Like, take her somewhere that is going to be sustainable.
Honestly.
You know, take her somewhere that is a true reflection of the life that you live.
That's it.
Because 6 months into your relationship, when she's annoyed now because you don't take her to Hakkasan anymore, you're gonna be like, "Bro, I've only ever been with you, so I don't even go there." But the issue is that you're setting a certain bar. So I feel as if people need to just like cut their cloth according to their size, man.
And not just that, but I feel like if you're trying to attract a certain caliber of a woman based on finances, you're not going to be able to keep her, because if she's only there for the finances,
once that goes,
on to the next.
You're done.
Whereas if you are living within your means, and my girl doesn't like it, goodbye. And I say this to the guys, that when a guy wants to try and take me to some place, like when I was back in the dating days, I was just like, I don't want to go there. It's
but he thinks that's what's going to impress you.
Yeah, like to me, it's like it's an obnoxious environment. I don't enjoy it. I'd rather go somewhere that's humbling. Mate, take me to a chicken shop, and we can vibe. Go for a walk. Go to Nando's. If your energy is what I'm trying to learn, I don't give a damn about your pocket. Obviously, finance is important.
Yeah, of
but
course,
don't be trying to stunt for me, because unless that's your lifestyle and sincerely you're in a certain position in life and a certain earning in life, but you know what? This restaurant will never hurt you. Will never even slightly scratch your wallet. Yeah. My G, I will jump on board.
And I feel like it's a thing whereby, and this is the thing about social media, which is amazing sometimes, but can also be a curse. We're fed so much information all the time,
and narratives
and
of
narratives
how to be,
of how women are, of what women want, about what you're meant to do as a man, that no one has an identity of their own. So even when a guy is doing something, not everyone, but some guys are doing things, they're doing it because they think that's what the girls that's what girls want, or they're doing it because the last girl they spoke to blew them off and said, oh nah, you haven't got money to date me. So because of that, now you think the most important thing is
let's
money.
get money up.
And this is why I guess they say you're supposed to go into every situation with a fresh mind, because you can't go into your next situation based on your experiences last time.
But that's the thing,
you know?
Unfortunately, no matter how much you try and tell yourself that, it's very hard, even for the best of us, to try and let go of the past. Like some people are like, oh, you got to earn my trust, you got to do this, and I need to test her with money, I need to test her with this, and vice versa. I need to try him on this and see what he says and what he does. And it's just like, this is why, like from a faith perspective, exchanging energies all the time ain't good for your soul. Because as much as you're getting life experience and it's character building, it's also destroying your soul.
Character building.
But,
That's true.
but it's true, because when it comes to you now finding your woman, you're like, wait,
You're
hold on, I've been screwed over by this girl, and this girl, she
Just
told me
bare
she. And it's just like, whereas that girl can come with the best, cleanest of intentions, but she's jumping through obstacles just to prove herself. And it's just like, eventually that girl's going to be like, hold up, why am I doing all this? Like, all I've done is be sincere.
This is it. And I don't want to be oblivious to the fact that we say this, but it's not easy, because especially if you're somebody that's on social media a lot, I would actually advise that anyone who believes they're on social media a lot, really sit down one day and think about the things that you believe, and ask yourself, do you believe that because that's who you are, or do you believe it because what you see or what's fed to you? Because when I really realized that, a lot of the stuff that we think is right
100%.
isn't even our own thoughts.
No. And sometimes we boast about, oh yeah, I'm healed, I'm healing, I'm this. But sis, what have you done to heal? Like some of us fill our time with other energies just to kind of like, that's just part of our process. And it's just like, what, you've not actually, like you're reading memes that are telling you, you're healing. It's like, I'm going to repost this.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's just recycling information without actually deepening it for ourselves. That's
exactly what it is. And it's like, and I think I said this when I was talking to Josh about it. I said to him, like, you can literally start your day feeling great. You're in a good mood, you're happy, thanking God for another day. Then you can go on your phone within 2 minutes, your whole mood has changed because of social media, or because
100%.
of something that you've read, or something has triggered an insecurity. 100%. So it's like, it's just you have to be very careful of what you allow to be fed into you.
Yes, mindfulness, but some people are just very naive, and especially the younger generation. There are a lot of them who are wise, but there are also those who literally depend heavily on Instagram as their main source. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's real. Like, from like recipes to how I should breathe, think, and deal with life. But you mentioned something earlier about how certain men they've been, I guess, programmed to thinking they can't date a woman if they're broke. Would you say a man shouldn't enter a relationship if financially he's not in a situation where he can be that man? Is that a fair statement?
You know what it is for me? 'Cause even in your statement, to be that man, I don't know what that woman wants in a man. So it's like, there's no blueprint, there's no perfect answer.
Is there a basic bar for a man?
I feel as if as a man, you should at least have your ducks in a row. And by that, what I mean is, ideally, I say have an income, because everyone might not have an income. You might be going through a career change, or you might be a newly found entrepreneur. You just started a business, but you should be in a position where you can at least look after yourself
and have direction.
You know what I mean? And when I say look after yourself, I mean, like, you need to be able to do the basic things that a human being, not just a man, but a human being should be able to do for themselves. So feed yourself, look after yourself from a physical point of view. If you are struggling to do that, you shouldn't be in a relationship, in my opinion. On the look of finances, that all depends, because once again, it goes back to what we were saying before. if you know that you want to be able to, if you know that you want to be able to do nice things for your other half, you want to be able to take her out, you know that you're gonna want to be able to buy her things, so you know you can't do that right now, and you also know that you not being able to do that is gonna make you feel inferior.
Yeah, that's another thing. How does it hurt your ego?
You know what I mean? Then you need to allow it and just leave her for now. You know, even if she's on to you, need to say, you know what, babes, I like you, but I can't be the man that I want to be. Which
it's
is
a
going
bit of
to
a
make
risk, though.
it's a massive risk, because she could say she could take that as he's just lying and he just doesn't want to be with me.
I'm not ready yet.
You know what I mean? Like it's not you, it's me. You're the ones there. So it's like
But the thing is, I think it also depends like where you are in life. So for
100%.
example, when I was in my 20s, I'll be like, I'm cool to grow with someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm cool for you to have like, you know, your first main job, second main job, and like we're hustling together and growing. But then like when you're in your 30s, it's a whole different energy. So like this is where I feel like for women, if you're traditional, for example, for you to say, I kind of expect my man to be a certain level, a certain standard. It's not to an entitled mindset, but it's like, if we're both in our 30s and you still haven't got your ish together, then to me, that's the alarming part, which is like, why is it? I mean, life could be life, and you could be made redundant. You could have gone through like trials at home, which changed and shifted your mindset, and you took a massive step back in life. That's different if you have a journey to explain it.
There's so much context around
100%.
that,
It's always like loads of grey areas, but I think for that, I'm here for it. But if you're saying, oh yeah, I'm still trying to find my way,
going with the flow,
like don't worry, man, like God's got me, and I'm just like, I don't think he'll get you when you're homeless, but like in the sense of like recklessness. So I feel like there are certain standards for a person who would love to lead a traditional setup, which is if a guy is still navigating in his 30s, not going upwards and trying to establish himself, then I understand why certain women will be like, no, I'm good. But I think it's harsh to say a man shouldn't date a woman, because I feel like a woman can help elevate you. If it's the right woman, she can help sort of keep you motivated, and stimulate
and this is why I can't answer no to that, because some women might actually be okay with it. This is the thing. This is why I always say each to their own, because I know of situations where a guy has been maybe going through the cycles of life and trying to, you know, get his stuff sorted, and a woman still be like, I still really like him. I don't care about the money. His character is this. He treats me with respect. And for some people, those things are so much more important,
because sometimes they're harder to find.
And this is it. And I don't want to dismiss the importance of finances in a relationship. I really don't want to do that, because it's like, we live in London, but
it's peak.
It's important.
It's
you know what I mean? Like
it's real.
This is London. Like you, if you are married or living with your partner, even if you're not even married yet,
just thank God, mate.
It's still important. You know, like we still have to really think about it and have certain things in place.
Yeah, but I think, like I said, it's a woman who would do that, unless she's naive and a bit foolish. The realities are, I've chosen to stick with you because you're trying to do something with your life. You're not procrastinating. You're not blaming the world. You're not being a victim. You're not trying to shot and do a side hustle. You're going, do you know what? I'm not where I'm at right now, but here's what I'm doing. And you can see the growth and the potential. And therefore, that's why some of us are like, do you know what? Let's invest in this man.
This is it.
But in my grownish age, I'm like, I'm not here for it. I'm no disrespect, but I appreciate you going through a journey. But I also, as a woman, I'm at a certain level of success. I'm at a certain level of income. And if you can't match it or level up to it, then we have a problem.
This is it. I wish I could remember the name of the movie I watched recently, where like the guy met the girl when they were like in college. In America, that's university. And she got like, her mum died, so she got this inheritance from her mum. And her mum left her with, I think it was like $150,000 and a mortgage-free house, So she's good, like she is set, and she has two sisters. The mum blessed them as well; they're good. And then she meets this guy, and the guy's poor, but he like really cares for her, shows her a lot of, you know, love. And then the guy's like, "Oh, I really want to be able to do X, Y, and Z, but I haven't got a car. I don't know what to do." And out of the kindness of her heart, she takes some of the money that her mum left for her and buys him a car. 20 grand gone. And he's like, "Oh, thank you so much." He appreciates it. And he's working on this project, like this battery that he's trying to build. So he's building a battery, and he's always like saying stuff like, oh, you know, when I become rich, I'm gonna do this for you, I'm gonna do that for you.
Okay.
And she's just like, oh, I love him so much. You know how women are, like, when they'll be like, oh, I love him so much. Like, he's got all these plans for
saying
us.
all this sweet nothing.
Knight in shining armor and all them things there.
Please tell me he didn't finesse her.
Oh, you just wait, it's a funny story.
Oh,
So
man.
now, they fast forward, they are like in their late 40s now.
Rotted.
30 years flown by. All the P's that her mum left her, she's used on him and her life as well. The property her mum left for her, she remortgaged the property to give him money on various occasions to the point that she couldn't afford the property, so they had to have it repossessed by the bank. Then on top of that, she's the only one working. So he's not really working. He's still working on this battery for the last 30 years, yeah? Cool. Let's say they're like 50 now. He's still making all these promises. When I get rich, I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy a boat, name it after you.
Was the relationship good otherwise? Like, was he giving her something really good at
Initially,
home?
it was really good in their teens. But at that point, she even says, like, we're going to bed every night. I feel like I'm just living with like a roommate.
Yeah, Dad.
You know what I mean?
Time to go.
And she's still there until like one madness happened one day, and she was like, enough is enough. I'm not doing this anymore, and leaves him. Cool. After she leaves him, this project he's been working on for the last 30 years, the guy he's been trying to get in touch with, he finds someone that gets him in touch with it. This guy becomes a multi-millionaire. He is up. Like, when I say he's up, yeah, like,
but whose fault is it now in this situation? Was she?
Boy, I don't know.
Not many women would wait 30 years.
She
plus.
waited a long
She waited
time.
and she invested in him. Please tell me he sent her a paycheck.
You know what he did? Remember I said the house was repossessed?
I'm invested right now.
Remember I said the house was repossessed, yeah? So the person who bought the house from the bank, he bought the house off them and gave her the house back that her mum gave her, and gave her like whatever she'd paid him, yeah, or given him, he gave her like 10 times.
Amazing.
So when I say he bust her, yeah, like he's up, but she's also up now, like proper.
But do you know what? Some people won't even do that. They'll be like, do you know what? I'll give you the bare minimum back. And this is it. Bounce.
And I got caught in a convo with my bedroom where we were like, who's in the wrong?
That's it.
And I was like, well,
but there isn't.
There's no one's in the wrong.
But that's the thing. So that was an interesting, because I actually, like, one of the things I was thinking about talking to you about is like, how much can you really invest in your passion when it comes to finance? Because if you're not able to have a second income of like a mainstream income while trying to work on your battery invention, surely that's irresponsible. Surely that's a biggest risk you can take.
Yeah, hindsight though, isn't it? Because it's irresponsible to someone who is risk averse, but to someone who is, let's say, an entrepreneur.
But he's a dreamer.
Story, he is, but his dream came to pass.
But dreams didn't pay the bill.
And they didn't pay the
keep
bills.
The house.
And it's like,
and didn't keep the woman.
It caused them a lot of stress. He lost everything.
Rotted.
But one would argue, everything he supposedly lost, he got it back and more.
And then some. But then, so his mental health, right, clearly wasn't like affected. He channeled his energy right. But do you not feel like the realities are like a lot of male mental health issues stem from finances?
1,000,000%. I think the last time I checked, it was, I think 3 in 5 people that say I have mental health issue, it stems from money.
What kind of money problems would you say? I
feel as if a big one is probably debt, you know, because if you really think about someone that's in debt, no one has money then puts themselves in debt for banks. You know, people usually get in debt as a result of not having money and having to take out, whether it's a loan, credit card, whatever it is. Just like in the story, they had to take money from the property to remortgage. So I would say debt is probably a very big one. And also sometimes a lack of opportunity. And that's why when we look at sort of ethnic backgrounds, we talk about representation. It's quite important because there's certain opportunities that are only available now because someone has had to go through that door first to pave the way for the other people to come through. So it's like, that's what I would say the stresses are. For our generation, I feel that the stresses are very different. I feel as if a lot of people's money issues come from their own bad habits.
Literally.
That's just my
honest, trying to also live up to a certain standard.
Keeping up with the Joneses, all that sort of stuff, you know. I feel that's where it stems from because our parents, the life they lived is different. So if a 60-year-old man comes to me tomorrow and says, I'm in a lot of debt as a result of blah, blah, I'll get it. Yeah. Because it's like, I can only imagine what you've had to do to even sustain what you have.
Like our first world struggles today are just so
They're not the
relevant.
same, man.
No.
They're not the same. Like I remember my parents
We're
told me when
putting
they first
pressures on ourselves.
Yeah, and this
Go
is
on,
it.
sorry.
Based off social media,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
we said earlier. I remember my parents saying to me when they first came to this country, my mum, my dad, my aunties and their husbands, they lived in like one flat, like 2-bed flat. That's the kind of stuff they had to do. You know, you say to someone today, "Oh, go and do that." It's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm just like, okay, well, what are you gonna do then?
But that's where our pride's in place.
Well, this
And
is
because
it.
we're so overly exposed to
Yeah.
opportunities and options and thinking that things will happen because I've seen it happen. Whereas your parents and not my parents, they just took humble pie all the time. And
This
it's just
is
like, we came here to start a life, and then the next generation either appreciate the struggle and want to make them proud, or they become so entitled,
Squander it or whatever.
and then they end up ruining themselves because they've not learnt the lessons that our parents have learned.
It's true.
Do you feel it's become harder for people to settle down and get married because they put so much financial strain? And can you really be ready financially? Like if you find let's just say, like, just explain, you got your woman, you've been engaged or whatever, you know she's the person, everyone knows each other family wise. Is there a real reason to stop yourself from getting married because of finances? And can you really, because I always give it a hypothetical, if you've managed to stack £50,000
Okay.
for a wedding and this and that and that,
Yeah.
then you come to get closer to getting married, but then you suddenly lose your job, or suddenly your car breaks down, or you drop your keys down the drain.
Yeah. That was me today.
That's literally you
Right.
today. Like, would that stop you from getting married? Or do we just trust in the process and trust in God and just continue?
I think there's a level of wisdom that needs to be applied in them situations. Because all those examples you gave are real life things. They are things that happen to people. I feel as if you have to weigh up what's important to you versus what you want, because there's a big difference. And I feel as if the important things are, okay, we need to make sure that we can survive and live a normal life. If you saved all that money for a wedding and you want to now blow all that peas on a wedding, knowing that you've lost your job, doesn't make sense. Because you need to know that when we get married, now what are we going to do? Because we just smacked it all on a wedding, paid the decorator 7 racks or whatever it costs, and they're happy, but now I have no money. And I'm supposed to start a family. I'm supposed to build with this person.
But do you feel like we've romanticized the concept of weddings and completely overlook the concept of and the values of marriage? Because like in that situation, what I do, what I did in my first marriage, I was like, do you know what? I don't need a wedding. Take that money, put some of it towards a deposit, and let's not start in debt. Because I understood the importance of what it was and the challenges of marriage, and actually, do I really want to start a relationship and our first chapter in such financial straits? And especially as a man, you don't talk about your stresses, so instead it will come out in different ways. So to know that our marriage is now being tested because there's a massive elephant in the room, which is financial debt, that we're trying to avoid talking about. And I feel so sad because a lot of women will be like, well, if you can't provide a wedding, I don't want to get married to you. And I don't know who fed them this.
I've actually never heard that one before. That is very mad.
No, I've had people say, if you can't provide the wedding that I've been told, especially in certain cultures, especially like within your culture and my culture, it's not a 1-day wedding, it's a 2-day, 3-day wedding. So now for you to tell a woman who's been told this day will come.
And she's been having that dream all her life.
That's what I'm saying, it's been fantasized so
I know
much.
What you mean, still.
And someone's going to be like, what do you mean you're not going to have that wedding? And then sometimes with conviction, she's told, well, if a man can't do that, then he shouldn't marry you.
Yeah, I feel as if there's definitely that pressure. I feel as if the more sort of cultural you look at things, the more pressurizing it probably is. I know people who have gone registry and then had like a nice little get together in the family home, and today they're married with 2 beautiful kids and they're doing amazing.
Blessed.
You know, and they don't have any debt. They've bought a house. I feel as if it's about what's important. I feel as if that's why in relationships you really have to talk to your partner, you know. Not just talk, but genuinely discuss and plan and strategize. Because what you don't want to do is end up worse off because of 1 days of enjoyment. You know what I mean? It never really made sense to me, and I never actually realized how expensive weddings were until maybe like I was helping my boy with his wedding planning in 2019.
It's not a joke.
And when he was throwing some numbers at me, I was like, yo, like, this is a lot.
It's real.
Even up until catering.
Listen, just
I'm
to,
like, yo,
just to
like,
hire a car. Like,
for
why are you
food.
hiring? Nah, seriously. Nah, it's
you
real.
know?
It's real.
And it's crazy because it makes me then realize that, okay, everyone doesn't have this money,
Nah.
which means that people are either having to borrow money that they're going to have to pay back to friends or family, or they're taking out loans.
And sometimes
you know?
loans that will forever bite them in the bum.
Always
You can't
be
chase
there,
it. You can't avoid it. Yeah.
Like having debt is, especially from working at the ombudsman and speaking to people that have issues with their bank and hearing some of their stories.
Sad.
Yeah, like every debt story isn't deliberate either.
No.
Because it never starts with the high amount. It always starts low and then it builds and it builds. And before you know it, this debt is hanging over your head and you can't sleep at night.
And then not just that, then when you're in that debt, to get out of it will be hard, and then you then ruin your credit, and then therefore any opportunities in the future, even when you got your ish together,
can't take advantage of it. Yeah.
You got to wait a good few years in order for you to even start building that.
This is the thing, I saw an ad online the other day and it said something like, wipe all your debts, government-backed scheme. And I was thinking, what is this?
But someone will cling on to that. They'll be like, oh, wait, it's government backed. I'm desperate.
So I've called. I was like, what is this thing? I was thinking I could make a video on this. If this is going to help people, like,
and
cool.
Real...
Trust me, like, CK Money Talks, you know how I used to do it before. And I was like, they were like, oh yeah, it's an IVA agreement.
Don't know what that is.
So an IVA is like a voluntary agreement that you make with a debtor where you kind of, have you heard of like step change and all that? Cool, okay, fine. So these people, they offer debt help, But what they do is they would write off a percentage of the debt, but then you still pay back so let's say you're originally paying £400 a month. They might say you're only going to pay us £21 a month for the next 7 years, and the rest of it will usually get written off from what I understand. But that leaves a bad mark on your credit score. So the debt's gone, which sounds great, but then when you want to go and buy a property, or when you want to look at your credit file, it's like, and I've heard of some of these agreements, you can't even open a bank account.
Well, that's it.
You know, like,
but
it just messes everything
but some people are so desperate
that they'll go that option
they'll
anyway.
They'll do it.
Yeah, I hear it.
They'll definitely do it because if they feel like they're drowning, and that's the only relief financially
that I have.
Because the minute I'm paying a fraction of that price, that means you've opened up an opportunity of like disposable income in a now.
Exactly.
And some people can only live in a now. And this day and age and the type of environment and climate that we live in, now is the hardest moment.
It's true still.
So
that's very true.
Okay, now you're a parent.
Yeah.
We're running out of time, but I just wanted to quickly see like what have you learned that you're now like embedding within your son, and what do you think that you can do to sort of help his future and pave the way for all your future children as well?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to build from young. You know, like even little things like having a little piggy bank, saving money, like not blowing the money on ice cream truck. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. And I remember one day, I have the video on my phone. I actually kept it. I took him to the arcade. You play certain games and you get like these tokens that come out the machine, and if you have a certain amount of tokens, you get like a toy or something that's on the wall. So I remember saying to him, I was just like, I thought, let me just ask him this question. I said, do you want to use your tokens now? And if you use the tokens now, there were these little like Haribo sweets at the bottom that you get, and I was just like, what we can start like saving them, like start stacking it. And I was like, once you have all these tokens,
see the Xbox over there?
Yeah, like there was like a big, massive Lego thing, a game, and I was like, like I thought I'm gonna keep it. And I was like, why are you gonna keep it? It was like, so that I can get something else. And I kept it on my phone. I was like, I feel like very proud.
That's a proud moment.
You know what I mean?
I do that with my son.
Yeah,
and I think
you know?
The negotiation and like, let's give options and think about like, do you want the right now instant thing? Or
do you want the...
Yeah,
it's
like...
that whole delayed gratification
That's
sort of
it. Like, it's like when someone gives me £10, like, I want to spend, I can buy this.
Blow
it. Or you can and then buy this, which is what you wanted.
Exactly.
And he'll think about it. He'll go, all right, cool, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is it.
I mean, kids are still kids, so they'll be like, can I at least get this? It's just like, no.
I feel like the difference, is because having grown up in a Nigerian household, it's like, you are taught things, but it lacks explanations
and the whys.
You know what I mean?
100.
So it's like, and the thing is, you're being told the right thing, but
the details
the
missing.
detail's not there.
Yeah, that's
And
an ethnic minority.
this is one thing about when I speak to children, yeah, like especially my nephew, my niece, I say, listen, I tell them something, and I'll actually sit down with them and I'll explain it.
100%.
Then once they get it, they nod. I'm just like, alright, cool, go. And
But
that's literally it.
Because you're planting
you know?
seeds.
Exactly.
So it might not be relevant to now.
But in the future.
But that's when they walk into
you know?
school with a bunch of Haribos.
Exactly. And this is it. Because my parents, like, don't get me wrong, they always encouraged us to save. But I wish that
they explain.
Yeah, I wish.
But they explain
you know,
the realities of how hard it is to achieve these certain things.
This is it.
Because mum telling me save was just like, yeah, safe, mum. But I didn't resonate.
Make you do it.
But if she said to me, Heather, do you know how long it will take for you to save for a deposit? Do you think how long it will take for I would have been like stressed. I'm living rent free right now, and I can be literally saving like 2K a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead, I'm thinking, let me just blow it all
because
I can.
It. Yeah. And I thought if I mentioned earlier that social media, there's two sides to it, and that's the good side that I see. Because I know there's a lot of good people on socials that do have those conversations and they do encourage that. Like CK Talks Money, like, you lot should follow him, you know. Like, I don't know. You lot should kind of follow him still. Yeah, he's all right guy still. Like, you know, like,
small wisdom.
You know, a little bit. And these combos are out there. And I feel as if it's mad because we actually lacked that growing up, you know. Our ideal social media was Bebo.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have exposure, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we had.
Tell us your age, about 10
So we couldn't have learnt that.
100%.
But I would say I'll just encourage people to have convos, man. That's why money does need to be talked about.
Well, this is a great segue. So you started your podcast. Initially, am I safe to say during lockdown, CK Talks Money kind of was born?
Yeah, that was November 2020.
And that was amazing, like just seeing the lives that you're doing and the conversation. I remember like we were sitting together at Lamar and we were going through like how to edit and the captions and
listen, I'll say this on camera. Anyone who watched my content, this is who taught me how to edit, and I've taught people since then, and this is actually who taught me how to edit on InShot. When I'll be like, yo, like, how do I add the text on InShot, Heather? Like,
I'm like, open it up, and I'll open on my side, and we'll do it together.
You know, like, I learned from your peoples, because from then on, like, anyone who's seen my stuff now, I edit everything myself. And without that skill, I wouldn't be able to do this. So props to Heather, man. You lot, props to Heather still.
I've helped you. But this is it. It's love. It's reciprocated energy.
For real.
So we had CK Talks Money, then we had now the Monetized podcast. And I feel like everything kind of stems from somewhere. What made you birth the Monetized podcast? And how long were you preparing for it?
Monetized has been on my mind since maybe start of 2022, I would say, late 2021. And initially it was just gonna be with people from financial backgrounds. But I thought to myself, I was like, let me be real. The people around me aren't from financial backgrounds. I am the only financial person. I am the financial person in the circle.
You're the spokesman.
You know what I mean? And I admire a lot of people. Like, if you look at my guests, they're not just people who I've plucked from social media. They're people who I genuinely admire. Like, my mentor Des is on there. His one comes out Monday. People like Faith Child. Like, when I was doing Faith Child's one, I've been listening to Faith Child's music since I was in secondary school. You know, you got people like Savage Dan, like, big up Savage, you know what I'm saying? So my thing was, it's important to have convos around finance, but we need to hear from people who aren't from financial backgrounds.
And the tangible experiences that people can relate to.
Yeah, everything doesn't have to be about mortgages and buying property. Like, there's principles that I've learned.
Wisdom.
From, you know what I mean? Because one thing about all the guests, bar one, they're also all older than me as well. So they have a certain level of experience that I don't have. So even just hearing from them and hearing their stories and their tips, it's just amazing. So that's what brought that on, and I have a genuine interest in understanding the way people think. That's why I started the Monetize. But yeah, check it out, man.
How you feeling about it?
I'm loving it, man.
Yeah?
I'm loving that. Season 1 finishes on March 27th.
Amazing.
So it's been a great journey. Well, we're filming for season 2 already.
Amazing.
I don't want to give any spoilers out, but you lot are gonna enjoy.
So I was gonna ask, what's next for CK?
Yeah, you know what, we're trying to work with brands. We're trying to think of ways that we can not just put out content, but make things a lot more personal. So me and Hayley from Let's Talk Property, we're looking to do workshops.
Nice.
We've done 2 before, but they were on Zoom. We want to bring it to real life now. There's no more
like
lockdown or
face-to-face
COVID
now.
restrictions. So we want to try and do things in person. And yeah, the podcast is growing, and there's a lot of avenues it's going to take that I really want to take you lot on a journey with this, you know.
Can't wait.
So yeah, man.
CK,
watch out for it still.
I'm extremely proud of you. I've watched your growth.
Thank you.
And we've all been through a journey, and I just love seeing you glow in your element, and just knowing that this is what you want to do, and it's wholehearted. It's not for the sake of not another pod. It's just sincere, true you.
This is it.
I appreciate you coming on the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Pleasure, man. For those who don't know where to find you, please let them know.
CK Talks Money on Instagram, Twitter. And you lot follow me on TikTok, man. I've got no followers on TikTok, you know.
Don't worry.
I've been trying to grow my TikTok page, and
trust me,
no one's loving me on TikTok, so there as well. Literally, CK Talks Money on every platform you can think of. There's even cktalksmoney.com. Like, if you go on there, you'll see some info about me. You can learn a bit about me.
Amazing.
All my links and my episodes are on there as well. So yeah, that's where we're at.
It's very professional.
Thank you.
Very
big
clean.
Up Fesbury. Cairo, my guy, he did that. Yeah, man. Plug you.
Thank you again.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Guys, you are watching and listening to Growing Up British with myself, Mama Hebz. You can catch me on Instagram on I am Hebz with a Z. Growing Up British.h, also on Instagram, and also on TikTok and YouTube, Mama Hebz. Like CK said, please subscribe to the Rough Cut thing.
Man.
Please.
Don't be lazy.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, CK.
Thank you so
guys,
much.
have an incredible day. Take it easy.
Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.